Welcome to That's Her Business and another edition of I'm a Woman, What's Your Superpower? I'm Colette.
And I'm Lisa.
And I am Lebo.
Welcome, Lebo.
Thank you.
Welcome. And Lebo, very interesting our show for tonight or today, whenever you're watching. Lebs, we're going to be talking about what it is that you do. So I know that you're a life coach, a way shower, okay? You need to explain to us what the way shower means, why you call yourself a way shower. And also we're going to be discussing about your reintegration coaching that you do. So if you can explain a little bit about that. So let's start with way shower.
And I call myself a way shower in the sense that I've been through a lot and I have overcame a lot of things and I use my experience as a way to show others that it can be done as well.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. And the way you say that your coaching that you do is specifically for reintegration. So what would that be? Reintegration of the person, the family, or can you go a little bit more in depth with that?
Okay, I do the reintegration in a sense that I realize that there's a gap between after rehab and going back into the community. So I decided to do the reintegration program to help with the relapses that are happening out there. Like people, they leave a family set up that they still have their own family issues. They check into a rehab, and when they come back, they still face the same family setup. And if the same setup is a trigger, and then they come back from a rehab and they fall back into drugs again because of a drug, they're using drug as a suppressant, a way of coping.
Yes.
So now if you left your family having this kind of issues and you check into a rehab and you come back and you are not mentally fit to find your way around the same family setup, then you will only go back to drug as a way of coping.
So it's really very much like a bridge. It's a bridging that you do to get them from the one side to the other side. And I suppose also that when a person goes to rehab, they go in as that person, they come out as another person. So the family also needs to understand who they are now, because the family will perceive them still to be the person that they were before they went to rehab. Am I right in saying
correct, yeah. And like I said, when you check into a rehab, your family, they remain behind, but they also need to go through their own recovery.
Exactly.
Because when somebody's in drugs, it affects everyone. So when they go seek for help, those that are remaining behind, they also need to get help. So when I do the reintegration program, I also help the family to prepare them mentally, to welcome their member as a newly changed person.
And also, I would imagine that the family would also go through certain traumas as well. It's not just the person that is the one with addictions that goes to rehab. It's everybody in that circle that all gets affected in different ways.
Correct.
And it's understanding those different ways and learning how to cope with that. Okay. What do you find that families of the addicted person, what do they mainly go through? What type of challenges do they normally face? I mean, I know, they have their things stolen sometimes because that's, and they'll have breakup of relationships, but what are their challenges of trying to cope with?
In most cases, like when somebody is into drugs, the family, they face challenges from the whole community. Like I'll give an example. For every fix, sometimes they don't have a way of making money, so they start breaking around, breaking houses and stealing stuff. And then the sad part is when the community comes back, they fight in the family. So now the family, they are also compromised in a sense that is this particular person that is putting the whole family in this kind of a mess. So now, in some cases, you find out some families are very detached now. They love their child, but they don't want to associate with his doings. So now this person is feeling left alone, him against the community, and not having a home to run to. So it's just a whole
supportive system.
So you have to now, I respect what the rehabs are doing. Taking drugs out of the body, it's a lot of work and it's painful, especially with now it's almost a near-death experience, the way how it comes out. So now, after they've done that great work that they are doing now, the challenge is getting it out of the mind.
Exactly, and that's so much more. That's the next step.
There's the next step.
That's often not taken, and
Yes.
that's where you come in.
Yes.
Lebo, to take that next step.
Yes, yeah.
Right.
That's basically it.
Lebo, we also forgot to mention that you're known as Lebo the Light.
Yes.
So I'd like to ask you as well, you work with children suffering from depression.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that and how that passion started?
Okay, like I said, I package my whole experiences and use them as a way to go back and give back to others. So with the depression, that was a personal experience with my older son. After my traumatic divorce, later on, I think 7 years later, he fell into depression himself, and it was very hectic for me. It was something very new that I had to deal with, you know. And I remember, you know, like in life, you always check, because your thoughts and your actions of today, they are a reflection of who you are tomorrow. So with that situation, I was wondering, how did we get here? And then I started realizing that, yes, I know we went through a trauma together, I know, but I also had it in my mind that I always wished for him to get help, because I knew that that whole experience wasn't healthy for him. So now that situation, that whole psychiatric experience, when it was presented to us, it was a mixed emotion. Firstly, I was very scared as to how will I come out of this, but also I was grateful that this is always what I've always asked for. Maybe it came in uncomfortable, unfamiliar, but it was the situation that I had to face. So I went through it. I learned a lot about mental health through my personal experience and the stigma. You know, with our Black community, mental health is mostly associated with witchcraft. But in my case, I was more aware to understand that it has nothing to do with anyone, but it is more of a feedback of what we've been through in our past lives. So it was just an opportunity for us to deal with it, to understand what it means, and to come out of it better, not bitter.
Okay, well, that's really beautiful that you saw that challenge as something to learn from and didn't just get stuck.
No,
Stuck in it.
yeah. So I think I'm grateful in that sense that I supported him, and I also made him understand what that meant for him and for me. And yeah, so through him as well, I also understood healing is about environment. Firstly, I had to help him, obviously, to get things properly aligned and understand the perception of the whole experience. And now I also had to heal myself, because of I realized that there were some issues that I didn't properly heal, and through him it was the feedback that I got that I needed to work on. So with mental health, it's not only limited to depression and other mental health illnesses that we are familiar with. Even drugs is another way of dealing with mental health issues. So it's different. So the reason I'm doing mental health coaching and drug addiction coaching is because it's same things, it's just that they manifest in different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that the drugs is trying to escape your mental health issues.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and very difficult always when you have somebody really close to you, like you had your son, to try and heal them. So the universe throws us these things. Eh? I think that's one of the most difficult things to do, is to heal somebody that you're really close to and that you really have that emotional connection to. It's just that much more harder, difficult.
It was, and remember with us, like the whole thing happened 2 months before lockdown. So for me, lockdown was more of a gift for me. Like I see it as a gift, because of we were afforded an opportunity to be locked in the same space where we get to spend time with one another, to learn from one another. And yeah, so for me, the whole lockdown process was just like the universe saying,
here you are, guys, we're in a room together, make the best of it.
which we of course we did that exactly. It was a healing process, and yeah.
And how old is your son?
When he was in hospital, he was 16. Now he's 18.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's a young man now.
Yes.
And what does your son think about the work that you do?
he was more touched when he saw this guy that we rehabilitated, like from the way how we met him and the way how he came out of the rehab. The whole experience was emotional even for the family. The way how they saw him leave their house and the way how they saw him coming back. It was two different people.
Oh, wow.
So, and I was with him, he witnessed the whole thing. So he was like, "Yo, mom, if this is what you're called to do, it's a beautiful thing to watch." So yeah.
So you have his support in that.
Yeah.
It's always so wonderful to have the support of the family
Yes.
and also your community. Hey?
Yes, yes.
And Neville, tell us, what changes do you think are very important that need to be done when going through this reintegration with the addicts?
I think it's not only with addicts, because of, like I said to you, addictions, we only pointing it when it's drugs and all, but remember, others are addicted to social media, others are addicted to spending so much shopping and all.
So addictions.
Yeah, so and those we don't talk more about because of maybe we don't really see them as more dangerous, but the drugs is what we can see because we see a life of a person deteriorating before our eyes.
Yeah.
So yeah, but normally as in human nature, we always chase pleasure, we run away from pain, you know, and then we associate pain as something that is ending our lives. So normally when this behavior starts to kick in is when we are faced with a challenge that needs your undivided attention. Instead of facing the challenge, you will have to look for things that will help you escape from it. So with addiction, it's always like that. Maybe you'll start with a cigarette, and then it doesn't suppress the pain enough for you. You will look for something stronger, and then you'll end up with very high on drugs. But yeah, it's purely about running away from challenges and always trying. We always want to be in a very comfortable space, happy and all. But when challenges come, we have to find places to run to. So with addiction, people are running into drugs.
And it's that fear, also that fear of not being able to succeed, that fear of not being able to be accepted.
Yes.
So there's a lot of fear in there that you need to deal with.
Yes, you know, like you like also pressure, like when you live your life from outside in, you look around and you see others as ahead, you see others as better, you see others as progressing, and when you look at yourself, you feel like you are not in the same pace as others. So, but when you check yourself from within, then you'll understand that you're in the right space at the right time. But most people are not taught to look at life like that.
Yeah.
We look at life from outside in instead of inside out.
That's right. So, and what we see isn't always the truth. I mean, if you go into social media, like you were saying, the addiction of social media, so you'll see everybody smiling and having a good time, and they're really not. They're really crying inside. So we actually see that as a false sense of
yes, you know. So now you wonder how is it that others are having this life that I don't have, and then they are also crying for help. They are trying to say, you know, this smile that I'm putting out there is the smile I wish I was carrying on the inside. So they are crying for help, but in pictures it looks like they are content, you know.
So Lebo, do you have somebody who has been your greatest inspiration?
I have few actually. Oprah Winfrey. I like her. She's an overcomer, having had to check what she went through and took her experiences and used it to heal the world. So I like her. And my grandmother, you know, my grandmother, before I did life coaching, I think my grandmother was born a natural life coach, in a sense that she has a different way of looking at things. It doesn't matter how hard things are coming her way, she always sees them as opportunities. So they always thought of her as not being normal because of, you know, like they'll be like, I mean, she's not taking things seriously. But when I now look at life as it is, I realize that she chose to look at life differently. And she's 93, she looks 50 because of the way how she never stresses about things. So I grew with my grandmother and I learned from her, and she taught me to really relax in life.
And Lebo, how would you like to be remembered?
I would love to be remembered as someone that has helped my community to change the perception of life, to look at life differently, and to accept challenges. And I like look at challenges and see them as gifts, because it's only through challenges that you can grow and become better.
That's wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Lebo. For women starting out on a new career path perhaps and looking to go into the same sort of line as what you're in for coaching, how would you say to them would be the best way to start?
With life coaching, for me, I feel like you must fill yourself up with experiences. It's easier to speak to people and to say to them, me too. You know, people, they understand and they relate better with someone that can relate to what they are going through. So life coaching is not the kind of work that you would want to do to make extra cash. It must be the kind of work that you would love to use your experiences as a gift back to others. So it's always, I would say it's always easier to give from within, because if this that you are is all that you can give, then it's easier to pull out than to give.
Ah, fabulous. Answered so well. Thank you, Lebo.
Right, Lebo, so our last question that we always ask is that women really struggle to speak about their own achievements proudly. So for this, we're going to ask you to blow your own woo-woo. Tell us about an achievement that you're really proud of.
I'm proud of the fact that I said yes to my purpose. And ever since I rose up to owning all that I am and all that I've been through, I feel like I'm in a better space. I'm living my best life, and I'm waking up knowing that I'm doing something that I really love.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Oh, lovely, lovely. Thank you, Lebo. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you,
Lebo The Light. You really are a light.
You are. And may you shine, shine, shine.
Thank you.